Gardening can be so much fun and it's so good for you mentally and physically, but there comes that point in time where digging in that hard dirt and down on your knees, not so much fun. But here at Ellington Agricultural Center, the Davidson County Master Gardeners Association has put together some wonderful new gardening beds to show us how gardening can be more accessible and fun for all of us. I'm with David Cook with the Davidson County Master Gardeners, and David, this is a beautiful bed. Tell me about it.
Thank you. This came about actually from what you just spoke of, digging in hard, compacted soil. So we decided to take a different route with this garden, and we've created some raised bed structures. And the purpose is to let people garden with basically a minimal amount of effort. And bending, not that I'm having that much problem, but I forecast it in my future. Bending over and kneeling like we do all the time in gardening puts a lot of stress on our bodies, and this type design will alleviate a lot of stress and problems that you may incur later on. So raised beds also have a great advantage, not just for our health, but for the health of the plants also.
Well, this one is beautiful. It looks like you've got about 12 inches or so of soil here, and what have you put into this?
Okay. You can incorporate a number of different type of what we call growing medias in here. I would not recommend just taking soil out of your yard, topsoil, which could be very compacted and have various weed seeds in it too. We're very lucky that Rick Morris from the compost farm is involved in this massive project to renovate this garden, and he generously donated from the compost farm an excellent mixture of a compost / soil mixture, which retains a generous amount of moisture for the plants, and it's easy to work with, has excellent structure, and like you notice, it is to a depth of 12 inches, so roots are not going to have any type barrier that will prevent them from growing in all directions and down deep. So when we go through our extensive hot summers in Tennessee, these plants hopefully will not show as much stress.
Well, this looks like a very enjoyable and fun bed. It's always great to work with the herbs, and of course with the stool that you have, you can just sit right there and work with your herbs, which is, I'm sure, very comfortable.
The raised bed does bring the soil level up to you by 12 inches and sitting down lower, and I'm not putting stress on my back, and I can dig in and work with plants. If I choose to, I'll show you real quickly, I can turn this is a unique little bench, turn it over, and then if I want to get a little bit closer, I can kneel down. And then this design gives you a lot of good upper strength and support right here with these legs, which are extenders right here. So I can get down low and work with the plant. Now I'm not putting all this pressure on my back and bending over. And again, not that it's affecting me at my age, but I predict that. But then again, I can flip this right back over and go into a sitting position. And it's very conveniently located close to the garden.
Well, this is fantastic, and I see that you also have some other wonderful designs here for other people in the community with other needs, and one of my favorite ones is one that is even more raised than this. Let's go take a look at it.
Great, the sitting garden.
Well, David, I hear that this is a real favorite of the neighborhood, that people are really drawn to this bed, and I can see why. It's deep enough that you could certainly plant big bushes in it, but it clearly is something that you can sit and garden right there at the side.
And that's the reason people like this one. Some of the neighbors that are coming out at the neighborhood and walking into the grounds here, they're drawn to this structure right here, and what you can see, I can just sit right here, and I have easy access. I don't even have to bend over. Now this one, as opposed to the raised beds we just visited, those raised beds are 4 foot wide. This is reduced by a foot, so this is 3 foot wide, and that's generally easy access. Someone can easily lean over into a garden 1.5 foot distance. And so I can work with any of these plants on this side, the majority of the plants right here. Then again, we have good potting media in here. And as you said, someone could, with the depth of this one, could grow a shrub in here, or small perennial ornamental plants, which we're showcasing right here, a variety of colors. And you could have a very colorful, a little bit higher raised bed with a seat on it.
And this bed also has the other side where you don't have the big extension here as the seat, but instead someone could pull up with a wheelchair and sit right there. This is one of my favorite garden designs, and I'm so happy to see it in the Master Gardener's Design garden here, because you can lean on it and it gives you so much support, so people who can still get out there but might be afraid of falling over, you've got a lot of support here, and it's very convenient.
This is the tallest structure, and we're basically call this our standing garden, and it's going to be very popular. One thing I did notice after we had built this and installed the plants is that you see plants from a different eye level. So I think that's fascinating. Instead of always looking down on a plant, you see a different landscape basically. So it's plants are raised up, and you don't have to lean. There's no stress on your back, and you're at a very comfortable level. And this is just one particular height. Now, if somebody said, "Ooh, I'd like to have one of these in my yard," you could adjust the legs. You could have it shorter. You could build a slight standing platform. But we want to give people, homeowners, a lot of good ideas and suggestions on continuing to garden and to create less stress, body stress, and have a very enjoyable experience with gardening with raised bed structures. So,
well, this is great. And another structure that I just adore, and I think I'm going to go home and make me one, is this, this potting table here that it looks like you can just hook up the hose to the bottom there and have water out at your garden?
This is another design that we found, and we tweaked it a little, and it's an outdoor permanent structure, which you don't have to worry about if it rains on it. It rained, I think, maybe early this morning. The nice feature is you can put in a little, what we call a portable sink, put potting mixture in there. If you're working with cut flowers, you can hook your hose up to it, cut on some water so your plants don't dry out. It has a storage shelf on the bottom, and again we've put the legs on some nice little paving stones. When you need to wash it off, all the soil moves away. It is uses exterior paint, so this is very outdoor. It's very hardy outdoor structure, and the accessible water feature is very nice. Like you said, you can hook a garden hose to this and move this anywhere in your yard.
Well, this is perfect. And this leads me to our final structure, which I think is one of the most thoughtful ones, which is one that is easily adapted for a lot of uses, including wheelchair uses. So let's go take a look at it.
Interesting structure we're going to see now.
This structure has some unique features. It has the cutout so you can stand in it and still have a lot of balance and support. But also, you're going to put a ramp in it, and what's that for?
This is a design that is wheelchair accessible, and it's I'll have to give credit to a friend of mine, Kent Bessie, who is also a master gardener, and I would call him a master carpenter because he gladly donated the wood for this structure, and mainly came up with a unique design that he helped me with. And it looks like a large block letter H in a way, and we thought that if we could design a structure where people in a wheelchair could use and roll up to it, they can continue gardening and working with plants and enjoy plants. So limited mobility should not be limited gardening, I think. So this is a unique structure, 2 wheelchairs. People, if they choose to face each other, of course they're going to have to get along. But on the sides are very wide to allow even more adults or children. So this is, we're going to call this actually, it's a potting bench, but it's more like an activity type table, and it's large enough that you can have a family could pot and then garden and do cuttings together on this structure. But again, it's very accessible to a wheelchair, and that's the whole point here, is to do not limit gardening to anybody.
Well, there's some great ideas out here at the Davidson County Master Gardener Demonstration Garden. I think you all are making a really wonderful difference in the community to show all of these off, and thank you so much for letting us come out here today.
I'm so glad you came,
David.
Julie.
Now, I hear also that you have a special event coming up this fall just for homeowners.
This is what will be called the Horticulture for Homeowners Field Day, and I believe it will probably be the first of its kind for the Davidson County, Middle Tennessee area. And we're going to encourage homeowners to come out and ask the difficult questions about gardening, and we know our master gardeners can answer these questions. This will be August 18th. It will be a half-day event, and we're going to have it start at 7 a.m. in the morning, and we'll cut it off at 1 o'clock, but we'll still allow people to linger through the gardens. And we're going to encourage them to come out and look at various ornamental plantings and annual plantings of various shrubs and ornamental grasses and flowers and perennials and annuals, and a new butterfly garden and some herb gardens. And these will be gardens that will be directed toward homeowners and what they can do in their landscapes.
Well, I'm looking forward to coming out myself and getting some new ideas from all
I'm going
you
to put you to
great
work
gardens.
if you do.
Thank you so much for inviting us all.
Thank you, Julie.